Welcome back to Marvelous Videos. I'm Rylan, and this is The Witchblade Origins, explored in detail. It is one thing to be a fan of comics, and a whole different thing entirely to think that you know comics. The realm of comics is a very enthralling world, and no matter how much one, as an ardent fan, likes to believe that they know almost everything, there is always something new for them to discover. Well, in our previous videos, we have done a comprehensive breakdown of the Darkness, digging deeper into the origins and explaining everything in detail. If you have been attentive to the video, you'll remember us mentioning the Witchblade. Created by Michael Turner, Marc Silvestri, David Wohl, and Brian Haberlin, the character of the Witchblade happens to be the offspring of the two opposing primeval forces of the universe, the Darkness and the Angelus. The Witchblade is more like an ancient, sentient, intelligent, and powerful weapon, one with supernatural origins at that. Usually taking the form of a complex metal gauntlet, it is male in nature, and on the lookout for female hosts, whom it bestows with various mystical powers to fight evil. Witchblade first made an appearance in November of 1995, in Witchblade Volume 1, from the Image Comics imprint, Top Cow Productions, and ran for about 185 riveting issues. The current wielder of the Witchblade happens to be NYPD homicide detective Sara Pezzini, whose character had previously appeared in Cyblade, The Battle for Independence #1 in January 1995, with an exciting backup story committed to its origin. To every comic fan out there, do you know everything about the Witchblade? Well, then gear yourselves up for today's video, where we are not only going to explore the origins of the Witchblade, but a lot of other things that we are pretty sure you did not know. So, psych yourself up for this one. Before we get into today's analysis, however, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is just a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thanks! Now, let's begin. What is a Witchblade artifact? Well, the way one looks at the Top Cow universe, there are primarily two opposing forces, the Darkness and the Angelus. While the former symbolized chaos, the latter defined light and order. The primal forces have been at a never-ending war against each other, and the solitary fact that the duo was equal in terms of powers and position made them incapable of tearing each other down. So much so that they have even gone to the extent of repetitively attempting to kill each other's wielders. That's precisely when a truce was formed. They consummated keeping mutual interests as the primary focus and conceived the Witchblade, to create a balance in between them. The Witchblade first crashed on Earth like a meteorite and was eventually discovered by cavewoman Una, making her the first wielder of the Witchblade. Coming back to the present, however, it was the shrewd businessman Kenneth Irons who unearthed the Witchblade in Greece, and also attempted to wield it, but at the cost of his own hand. Yep, you heard that absolutely right. And although Irons' long fixation on the Witchblade eventually led him to find a way to control it, the Witchblade was quite particular about its users, and whom it will allow to bond with. It goes without saying that it eventually found its way to NYPD detective Sara Pezzini, and chose her as its new wielder. So, when the Witchblade is not in use, it appears as this decorative right-handed gauntlet, one that is covered with jewels. It develops this mutual bonding with the chosen host, and the latter is capable of hearing the Witchblade. Now, when the Witchblade is in use, however, it stretches across the body of the host, wrapping itself around, at times shredding the attire one is donning, and covers the body with both armor and weapons at the same time. In most cases, how much the armor covers solely depends on the degree of the threat. For example, when it's fighting mere mortal beings, it will have less armor on it than if it's facing, let's say, a demon of hell for that matter. You will also be enthralled to know that the armor is also able to generate extensions of itself, such as swords, stabbing weapons, shields, chains, hooks, and wings. Oh, and it is highly capable of becoming temperamental if the wielder decides not to make use of it, starting from shooting energy blasts from either the hand or the sword to shooting projectile darts, as well as whip-like grapples to attack or climb. The Witchblade can do a lot of things when wielded. Besides all of these, it also is a fantastic lockpick and is powerful enough to heal wounds that are fatal as well. Yes, it can effortlessly revive the dead, forcefully show the wielder overpowering scenes of trauma, and at the same time make the wielder experience memories of the previous wielders in the form of dreams.
It all started when I encountered the Witchblade. Exactly what it is and why I was chosen to wield it are still a mystery to me.
One of the notable hosts of the artifact, Sara Pezzini. Born of Italian descent in the year 1970, Sara Pezzini always wanted to be a cop, and it goes without saying that she ended up becoming one of the best homicide detectives in New York City at a pretty early age. While Sara's father, Vincent Frank Pezzini, was also a police officer, he was shot and killed on duty, and not much is known about Sara's mother. Even Sara was oblivious to where her mother was for several years.
Drop it!
Her life took a full 180-degree turn when she went undercover to an auction taking place at the Rialto Theater, along with her partner Michael Yee. Kenneth Irons was in possession of the Witchblade at this time, and his obsession with the Gauntlet made him go to the extents where he was ready to let anyone for that matter bid and try it, just so he could unlock its powers. Disguised as an escort, Sara infiltrates the event, only to discover that some of the most notorious crime bosses of New York had gathered there to take part of some kind of contest that involves the wielding of the mysterious Witchblade. Michael got captured in the process, and as he was about to get shot, Sara plunged right in front of him, leading to both her and Michael getting mortally wounded. While Sara lay dying on the ground, the Witchblade chose Sara to bond with and attached itself to her. Not only did the Witchblade heal all her wounds, but also gave her enough power to survive the ensuing confrontation. Sadly, Sara could not save Michael. Sara Pezzini carried on working as an NYPD homicide detective, with the Witchblade attached to her, and since then, she's encountered countless things that she never knew even existed. She fought otherworldly creatures that don't even belong on Earth. She continued her struggle with the Witchblade, unraveling more about it and doing her best to control it. Some of her allies included Lara Croft, the Magdalena, Vampirella, as well as Jackie Estacado. You'll also be quite astounded to know that two crossovers had her not only pitted against the Wolverine, but also the titular creatures from the Alien and Predator franchises. Coming back to the comics, Sara was eventually assigned a new partner named Jake McCarthy, and the duo developed a close relationship. McCarthy, in due course, ended up being in a coma, followed by his eventual death. Amidst all of this, Sara learned that she was pregnant, and although it came as a total shock to her, she chose the baby over the Witchblade, and decided to pass on the Witchblade to a young ballet dancer whom she had recently met, named Danielle Baptiste. Eventually, Jackie Estacado was disclosed to be the father of the child, and Sara gave birth to Hope. Danielle had to end up sharing part of the Witchblade with Sara, as the latter was literally on the verge of death, thus saving her life. Sara, after being host to half of the Witchblade, got into major clashes with Danielle, something that made the former exceedingly unreasonable and angry. So much so that after getting influenced by an old enemy of the Curator, she ended up in a fight against Danielle and took back all of the Witchblade. It was only after Danielle was selected as the next Angelus host and Sara was purified of the dark influence that the latter was restored back to her previous normal self. Sara tried to redeem herself for all the things she had done after coming under the influence of the dark half of the Witchblade. It was at that point that an internal affairs agent named Pheeps, having learned about the Witchblade's truth, all thanks to Jake McCarthy's diary, came face to face with Sara. He asks her either to resign or give up on the Witchblade to avoid getting exposed. No points for guessing what Sara chose. Sara Pezzini is later seen moving to Chicago and working as a private investigator. The divine powers of the Witchblade. By now, we all know that the Witchblade, being male in nature, requires a female host to bond with. Well, there have been a few instances where it has bonded with a male, but that has been for a very short time span. The Witchblade decides who it wants to bond with, or in other words, who is deserving enough to be its wielder. If the host happens to be unworthy, or even becomes one in the process, it will straight away cut off the right arm.
Tighter! Tighter!
As a wielder of the Witchblade, the host is granted a host of divine powers and abilities that include superhuman strength, endurance, invulnerability, pyrokinesis, shapeshifting, as well as a healing factor, one that allows her to heal fatal wounds such as gunshots, explosives, as well as energy blasts. Let's not forget how the Witchblade covers its host with an adaptive armor that not only provides her with protection from attacks, but also lets her form weapons such as swords and shields. To add more to this, the Witchblade is also quite capable of reviving the dead. Also, as a wielder of this mystical artifact, the host is quite capable of communicating with previous wielders of the Witchblade, granting the user some kind of otherworldly assistance, and unfolding new secrets about it at the same time.
Sara Pezzini, a New York City detective, drawn into a chance encounter with a supernatural weapon.
Witchblade in other media. TV series. Based on the Witchblade comic book series, the American television series created by Ralph Hemmecker aired on TNT, spanning across 2 seasons and generating 24 gripping episodes from 2001 to 2002. Starring Yancey Butler, Anthony Sestaro, and David Kokechi in the leading roles, the series follows the escapades of NYPD homicide detectives Sara Pezzini as the wielder of the Witchblade. The mystical artifact has existed for a long time, and has been choosing its rightful host for generations. After it bonds with Pezzini, it grants her a host of powers, and also has its own agendas to be taken care of. As per Top Cow editor Matt Hawkins, the series was, and in fact still remains, the highest television show to get cancelled. Wait, what? Despite getting cancelled, Witchblade made it to the list of top 10 basic cable dramas for the year 2002.
Can't help myself.
Anime series. While it is only loosely based on the comic book series, mind you, the 2006 anime series is not a whole adaptation of the original story. Right from new characters being introduced to a whole new setting, the series definitely stands out in the crowd. Directed by Yoshimitsu Ohashi and written by Yasuku Kobayashi, the anime version is often held controversial by some fans, because apparently Japanese anime studio Gonzo had declared that the leading character would be of Japanese ethnicity, and won't be amongst the earlier wielders of the Witchblade, whether it be Itagaki, Shiori-sama, or Yaka-chan for that matter. An entirely new character named Masani Amaha was introduced, which also meant a whole new story with fresh new characters. However, the storyline was set in the same continuity as the comic book. Coming back to the anime series, it features an anime prologue for every episode that said,
"The Witchblade. Is it the righteous sword of God? She is forced to seek the balance between ecstasy and ruin."
Masane is introduced in this series as the main protagonist, having had her memory wiped out during the Great Quake that destroyed Tokyo. Masane was found miraculously unhurt and holding a baby girl in her arms. She comes back to Tokyo after 6 long years with the child that she now believes is her daughter, all in the hopes of leading a tranquil, trouble-free life. However, she gets inadvertently involved in a power struggle taking place between a large corporation and a government agency. As fate would have it, she learns about the mysterious bracelet on her right wrist, which was the legendary Witchblade. If you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to send a like and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. For Marvelous Videos, I'm Rylan. Have a good one, be safe, and thanks for watching.